Hello, hello, and we're back. Unfortunately, I ran way past in my last hangout, so it's late, but better late than never. Anybody who's doing the Replace City gig, you're here on time, unlike me being half an hour late. Um, so with that, we have some questions that we have that you can post. This is a Q&A, and I'll respond to those. In the meantime, let's just kind of go over things and discuss. I've seen a bunch of people talk about Google Gmail versus Google Inbox for Gmail, and people are saying all kinds of different things online that just some of the comments are comical, some of them are totally ridiculous and totally untrue. So I just wanted to kind of discuss this in a little more detail, and hopefully people who are now getting Google Apps inbox for Google Apps can make a better decision in terms of, let me change this thing so I don't look like somebody hit me. I'll just go and do the focus thing. That's good. So dispel some myths, and hopefully people will be able to look at it in a proper way and make decisions themselves. So the big first question is Inbox cool? The answer is absolutely. It's extremely cool in many ways. The second question is this a replacement for Gmail? My answer to that is it might be at some point. It should be in many ways, but it's not. Okay, it's definitely not a replacement for Gmail. Next question is this compatible with Gmail? It's a different way to look at the exactly same email. In other words, Inbox itself and Gmail, they're looking at the same place where your emails are stored. So you're looking at the same exact information. It's not one pulling something from the other or importing, or somehow it's not different. It's exactly the same information, same emails. You go to Gmail, you delete an email. If you go back to Inbox, it's going to be gone. If you go and archive something on bad word. If you go and bundle something on Inbox, you'll see it as being in that particular label on Gmail, because basically it's the same thing, the bundling part, in terms of having these little bundles that they call bundles now. It's essentially the same thing as labels. If you go and sweep something in Inbox, and we'll cover that in a few minutes here, it's the same thing as doing archive in Gmail. So Gmail versus Inbox is essentially a different way to manage the same emails and different way to look at them, and then have some features in one that are unavailable in the other. Okay, and that goes true for both of them. There are some things Gmail does that Inbox doesn't do. There's something Inbox does that Gmail doesn't do. But you're looking at the exactly same emails. So make sure you got that straight. You're not missing anything out by using one or the other or both. Okay, so before going into all the details here, what do I use? I use both. Okay, I do not use Inbox exclusively. I do not use Gmail exclusively, because I like the features in each one, that I want to use the features in each one. I wish we could compress it all into a single app, but right now the Gmail team is not doing that. And then because they came out with a fairly major and really nice upgrade to Gmail for mobile not that long ago, I don't even know what their game plan is in terms of if they're planning to drive everything to go to Inbox. I mean, they're certainly trying to do that by having people click on buttons that says take me to Inbox right from Gmail, specifically coming up with a little dialog box that says you have Inbox available for you now. Do you want to switch instead of using Gmail? I mean, they're trying to push people into Inbox, but at the same time, it's not forced in terms of you have to do it or else. And as for my money, well, it doesn't cost anything either way, so there's no money. But in terms of the way I use email and stuff, definitely Inbox is not a replacement for Gmail. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about each one's features. I'm sure you can find other sources where they talk about that at length as well. But we'll dispel some myths here and give you some ideas about how this thing actually works. So I'm going to pull up the screen here. And so one thing you can say about immediately by looking at both the logo and the actual screen, that you can see quite a bit of blue here. And it's almost like you have liberals and conservatives. Inbox is liberals, and Gmail, being so red, is all conservatives. Just joking here. But anyway, they do look dramatically different. Number one, they work in many ways dramatically different as well. And as you can see, you have a big search bar at the top. This is the inbox for Gmail. And you've got very colorful displays here. And at the same time, it's been fully designed with material design in place. So when you click on things kind of open up, and when you click out of them, things fold back down. And you have some things like, for example, as you can see right there, this particular entry here, I can just click on it, and it goes right to show me the video for that particular entry, which is pretty cool. Now I just need to stop it somehow. All right, let's not do Debian John for now. And so that part is pretty nice. You can see that they have these categories like we had in Gmail before, where you got promo, social, updates, but they also have some other ones. They also have things like finance. They also have things like travel. Somewhere in there I have it. So they have these things, they don't call them categories, they call them bundles. And also, you have your inbox, which is what you're looking at here, and you can bundle some of these categories into the inbox. So when you're looking at inbox, all these categories will be in there, or all these bundles will be in there. Okay. And in terms of bundles, the nice thing about this compared to categories in Gmail is it's similar to the categories there, but here you can create your own. And the bundles in many ways, actually mainly, are like labels in Gmail. They're not like categories, they're like labels. So that's where you have a little bit of a disconnect, because they're all kind of showing up in the same deal here. And I can actually jump here instead of the inbox. I can click and go to any of the other deals here. Like, for example, I can click on one of the bundles I created, and I see nothing but emails for that particular bundle. It happens to be the same person, but you get the idea. Okay, and if I click on purchases, which is one of their deals, it has all the different things I've bought, which is pretty handy to have in one place. If I click on travel, it's got my emails related to travel, which I didn't have to do anything. It just does it for me. And of course, you can also see you got some things like, here's the Priceline itinerary for San Diego. It automatically dropped into travel. It's got immediately on the same screen, without even opening email, I can see when I'm supposed to be flying in and out, what flights. I mean, they have a lot of additional things that they built into Inbox that are extremely handy and extremely useful in terms of being able to see things at the same time. So beautiful design, very convenient in terms of how the emails look and work. You open it up, there's your email. At the bottom here, you can see it says reply to all. Over here, I can reply or I can forward it. The only problem with this approach here is that, of course, if you have a really lengthy email, it takes you a long time to get to down to the bottom to do reply all. Of course, you can always pull down a menu here and do the same thing. So some things are one click away. Some things are a little bit more elaborate. You have to pull down a menu, but mostly it's pretty simple. And then if you want to step out of this email, you can click on another one or just simply click out of the way, and it pulls it right back in again. So again, beautiful job. Everything is nice and animated. Everything looks, much nicer colors, easy on the eyes, easy to get to. They show you the counts here. It says they have, in the promos, I have 14 new messages I haven't looked at. So if I click on it, it'll open up the whole promos category, and there are my 14 messages right there. Okay. At this point in time, I can actually click on this button here, which is called sweep. And that's going to go ahead and get rid of all of these items that are showing up right now into the oblivion, basically. They're not going to be in the promos any longer. Where did they go? Essentially, what they're doing is they're doing equivalent of doing archiving in Gmail. It's exactly the same concept, but you're doing by using the sweep. And the idea is you can quickly go through emails much, much, much quicker than you could do before, because you can just take a whole slew of them and just say sweep it, and you're done. And the idea here is just to simply be able to just jump through all your emails as quickly as possible and clean out your inbox, because you click on the things you want to see, and notice that it tells you, it says sweep, it says mark unpinned items only. So what are pinned items? Pinned items are things like, I can click on this, for example, email here, and then I can go ahead and click on a little pin icon here at the top and select pin it to the inbox. And if I jump out, you can see that it's showing me that this particular entry here it shows as being, it has these additional icons next to it, which tells me that basically it's a pinned item. If I jump here, well, let's go ahead and just actually go through the motion. So if I, just to show you an example, like I was showing you, I actually take it back. That's not what I meant to say. Let's go ahead and pin LinkedIn. So I pin this. And if I click on this little check, this little slider at the top, it shows me nothing but pinned messages. As you can see, I pinged this Food and Wine, and I pinged this LinkedIn. And so because of those two being pinned, both of them show up if I go and only show pinned messages. However, if I go to promos, and they're still here as well, right? They're still, usually it would show you a little blue pin. I don't know why it doesn't show it here. But anyway, if I went to go ahead and do sweep, just to show an example, all my promos are now just gone. As you can see, it just disappeared completely. And down here it says 25 plus marked as done, and I can undo it, or I can just close this box. Basically, it'll go away by itself. So now they're gone. Okay, now I can't see them anymore. Where are they? They're equivalent to being archived at this point. So I don't see them anymore. However, if I go back to the pinned messages, as you can see, both of these that I pinned, both of them are here and available. So I still have easy access to them. And at the same time, you still see them here because they were pinned, so they're still available in your inbox. They're not archived, in other words. So this part is awesome, that you can just quickly select multiple messages. You know, I can select one. Let's say I select a few messages here, for example, and not categories, but messages. And then I can go ahead and just simply sweep like this, and it says, I can go ahead, well, I can move them to another deal, another label, in other words, or another bundle. You know, I take back what I said. I guess they don't have an ability to sweep just for this. I thought they did. So I guess I can't just get rid of these things or archive them easily. I can move them to a different bundle. But if I selected a few messages like this, let's say I selected a few messages here, and if I select sweep, and it's weird what it's doing. It's actually not being consistent here. The idea is, we'll just say what the idea is. Looks like they have a little bug here. The idea is that when you sweep whatever you got selected, it'll go ahead and sweep it by basically getting rid of it from the inbox. Anything that's pinned will be in the inbox. So this way you can fairly quickly or fairly slowly, depending on how many emails you have, you can just pin the things that you want to keep, and you sweep everything else away, you're done. That's the idea. The other thing they have is called done, which is just the mark done. So if I click on certain messages here and I click on done, then these messages will disappear. See, it says 6 mark done. It'll disappear from the inbox display, but they are still available. They'll be basically archived at this point. And if I go to Gmail, that's exactly where I'll find them. I'll find them under archive. So the Google's idea is you do not delete. As you can see, there's no delete button anywhere here. And so their idea is that what you do is you either sweep, or you mark it done, or you put it in some bundle if you want, whatever it happens to be, or a label in Gmail Talk. Any of these, the bundles are the same as your labels. And you can just move it there if you want. That part, this is the thing that's a deal breaker for me, is because I need to be able to select a bunch of stuff that I have and delete it. And so like in Gmail, if I go to Gmail and if I click on updates, you can see I have a bunch of messages here, a bunch of new ones, okay? So number one, what I can do, what I usually do every morning, is I click select all unread. And now it selects all the messages that are unread. I quickly go through the list, looking and trying to see if there's anything that I would like to keep. So I'd like to keep this one, and I'd like to keep, let's see, this one to look later, and this one, and that's it basically. So that's all. As you can see, I want to keep a lot fewer messages than I actually get, which is usually typically the case. Then once I select it, I just click on delete, And that's it. All I have left is the things I wanted to look at. There's no such functionality in Inbox. In Inbox, there's no such thing as select unread messages, okay? So what I have to do is I click on social, and it opens it up, and then I have to go and say, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, and I just go basically and just keep clicking, 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 and then when I get done, I have to pull down a menu and select trash, and that's how I get stuff removed from there and delete it. You may say that, you know, it's not that big of a deal. For me, it's a huge deal, because this deal with selecting individual messages, considering how many messages I get, it's a total deal breaker for me. And so if anybody at Google is listening, you have to put this capability into Inbox if you want people to really, truly use it, the people who get a lot of emails. Otherwise, it's just not manageable. So on one hand, Inbox allows you to do the sweeping and to, you know, quickly basically get done with your inbox and just move things around, look at them, pin what you want to keep, and, you know, sweep everything else, you're done. So a very quick way to handle email. But realistically speaking, that's not what people typically want to do. Definitely not what I want to do. I need to be able to delete stuff. The reason I don't like the archive approach versus deleting is because if I'm archiving it, number one, I'm using more storage, and I'm wasting storage, basically. I'm not using it because I don't need these emails, okay? I don't want to keep them for any reason. Number two is when you do searches, and this thing does great searches, just like Gmail does, then it comes up with all kinds of bogus results because they're just in archive. So they wind up matching the criteria, and they wind up coming up with exactly the kind of stuff I don't want to see mixed with stuff I do want to see. So because of that, it's a total deal breaker for me, the fact that I cannot select the all unread messages, and I can't easily delete them with just a click of a button. It's just a deal breaker. The reason they did this partially is because they want people to make sure they don't miss their emails by accidentally deleting the wrong stuff. I'm sure that was the main thinking. And because their storage is ample and storage is cheap, that way you just, you may have some messages you don't want, but basically you're not ever going to lose anything that you do want, number one. And number two is it makes it much easier to use. So the whole idea was easy to use, beautiful, and make it easier than the other program. And for people who are a little bit more power users, that's not acceptable. And so in terms of similarities, as I mentioned, the mark sweep or mark as done in Inbox is the same as doing the archiving on Gmail. The bundles are the same thing as labels on Gmail and stuff. You can create filters by, for example, I can click on a message like this, and I can say, I can move it to a bundle, whichever one I want to move it to. And for example, I'm going to move it to PCS. And if I move it, it says down at the bottom, it says move to PCS, always do this. And if I click on always do this, then it's going to create equivalent of Gmail filter. And then basically it'll execute it every time. And that way, whenever messages come in, they automatically go over there. So again, they made something that's similar to filters, works a little bit different than filters, but same basic concept. And you can create your own bundles and you put in your own criteria. It's the same thing as filters on Gmail. So they have that functionality. Labels are bundles. Categories, kind of similar also. Basically, they put everything into bundles. You can mark multiple messages to say that these messages belong to this bundle, but I want this bundle to be shown in Inbox. So for example, right here, we're looking at Inbox, and we've got bundle, we got promos, which is a bundle, and they're all promos bundle is part of the Inbox. That's why you see this part here. That's why you don't see that other one I was showing PCS, because it's not part of the Inbox, and that's why you don't see it here. So that part of making things a little bit easier is called, why would I even use Inbox? You may ask, because I'm kind of dumping on it. And the reason I want to use the Inbox is because one of the things that's phenomenal about this is you can click on a message, and then what you can do in terms of managing mail is I can click on this little deal where it says snooze until, and I can actually put a reminder saying I want to deal with this later today at 6 p.m. And I click on it, or also I can indicate some other time, or I can specify a specific date and time or specific place. So for example, I can click on this, and this message goes away from my inbox, and then later at 6 p.m. it'll come back and it'll show it to me on my phone as a notification, as a reminder, and it'll be available again at the top of the list. So that makes it, this reminder thing makes it incredibly useful in terms of being able to manage your mail better, because you can relatively quickly go through and say, I want to deal with this tomorrow, I want to deal with this next week, I want to deal with this, and you can just quickly do that. So you got the sweeping thing is one thing. Second thing is you got this kind of capability where you can just say, I'm going to deal with this tomorrow, I'm going to deal with this next week. Then you also have ability to specify a place, which is GPS based, and for home computers, for desktops, it's irrelevant, who cares? But for mobile devices, it's just golden, because if you have some kind of a deal, some kind of email, let's say from Costco, indicating that they have some deals going on this week, you want to have it pull up, and so you can take a look at it when you're at Costco, okay? Because now you're not at Costco, you may not be in Costco for the next 3 days, but the deal is going on for the next week. So what you do is you then say, you specify this reminder with the place being Costco, and that way you're going to get reminded where you're physically at Costco, because it's a location-based reminder. So those kind of features are absolutely stellar and phenomenal. There's nothing like this in Gmail, okay? So you can do that kind of stuff. In addition to that, what also you can do in Inbox that's also pretty cool is, of course, displays where you can see things right there, and I can actually click on this to go right to this video directly from here, even though I'm sitting in this whole category. And if I open the whole category, then it's got all these different messages, including this one. So it makes it easier to get to stuff and makes it really nice from that standpoint. Another thing you can do is you can, we said we can go to any bundle and go that way too. So that's pretty cool here too. In terms of features that you do not have on Inbox but do have in Gmail, features that I use tremendously all the time, are things like canned messages, for example. Cannot have canned messages right now in Inbox. Another thing, the major omission right now is if you're trying to do a new message, if I click here and do, let's see, just do a compose. As you can see, as I start typing here, first of all, it looks pretty hokey compared to Gmail in terms of how it looks, subject and everything looks weird. Start typing here. And in terms of what I can do here, if you click on this little A thing, it gives you some choices, and in terms of attachments and stuff, it also gives you some choices, but it doesn't give you the choices that Gmail gives you. I cannot attach money to this email. I cannot put something from Drive into this email. As you can see, there is no, I can do the attachment of a picture, for example. So if I do that, it'll dump that in there, so you can do it that way, but I cannot do the other capabilities that you can do, attachments and everything else, from the way you can do it from Gmail. So that's one huge difference also that's missing. There's a bunch of things here. I mean, in Gmail, you can do different previews, which you cannot do on Inbox. In Gmail, you can do, for example, start Hangouts directly from there, which you right now, they have Hangouts as a separate pane of people, but it's not, you don't have it like a little chat thing like you have here. You don't have quick links, which is something I use a lot. You don't have ability to make phone calls, which is something I use from here. I mean, there's a list of things. I'm not giving you a complete list, not to mention things like this, where you have, for example, additional add-ons you can create like this, and it comes up with information about that particular person. Let me find somebody who's a little bit better here so you can see. Like, for example, I pull up Michael here, and this thing will I guess it doesn't have anything in here. But anyway, it comes up information about that particular person because of the special extension that you cannot do, like my cloudless thing for attachments. I mean, there's many different features and additional options that you just don't have in the Inbox right now that you have in Gmail. So with that being the case, the bottom line is that there is definitely a set of features that Inbox has that Gmail doesn't even have. For example, if I click here, it makes it much nicer. Like if I'm looking at message from Michael. If I click on search here, then I click on Michael, it'll show me all the communications I have with Michael very easily this way. So it's a nice thing to be able to do that in that kind of format, nice and quick, and highlight stuff. And you can take any message, pin it, you can do the reminder on it, you can mark it as done. I mean, they definitely have beautiful number of features and options that are very useful in Inbox. But some of these things that I mentioned, like ability to just simply click on a button to delete, missing that ability is ridiculous in my view. It should be in place. I mean, over here you have ability to go into settings, and you can do different things with the bundle. You're able to go and pull down the menu here and move things to different category or a different bundle. You're able to sweep. All of this is great. Why not put a delete button right next to it so I can select whatever I want to select and delete it? Why not put another pull down, just like in Gmail here, that says, allow me to select everything that's read or unread or starred or unstarred. Exactly the same kind of deal. They have plenty of room, plenty of capabilities. If they just added that, it would be a phenomenal replacement for Gmail. But it's not in place. Okay, and they try to make one of the things about Inbox, it's very similar in many ways to the mobile version. If you look at the mobile version of Inbox, which runs on a tablet, on the phone, they almost all look the same and they almost all work the same, which is not the case with Gmail. Gmail looks very different and works quite a bit different on mobile devices than it does on the desktop. And so that's, I think, one of the reasons we have a lot more features on Gmail versus mobile. And with Inbox, they specifically went this other route just so everything is the same. Whether you're running Inbox on a desktop or you're running it on the phone or on a tablet, you pretty much have the same experience with the same capabilities and options and the same look and feel, which is not a small thing. I mean, it's definitely important and useful, but that's the situation. So that's kind of what I want to talk about in terms of not going through all the details about exactly what it does and how it does and everything else, but more in terms of differences between the two to a degree, showing that there are definitely things that one can do that the other cannot, and vice versa, and that probably the best thing at this point for you to do is to use both of them and use the strength of each one for your own benefit, your own purposes as you see fit. So what I usually do is I go in the morning, I start with Gmail, I don't touch Inbox, and I go and do my quick selection, I do my quick dissemination and deletion of everything I don't need, and then I go back to Inbox to have a nicer, looking interface and everything, and then I do things like sweeps for what's there, or things like done, or reminders, again, something I couldn't even do in Gmail, and things like that. Now, when I need to do some kind of a message that I need to send money or anything else, obviously, since the functionality is not in the Inbox, I have to use Gmail for that. If I need to do a canned message or vacation message, any of those kind of things, they just don't have it built yet into Inbox. So you have to use Gmail. So, if anybody tells you you should use Inbox, forget Gmail, you're really selling yourself short, and you're eliminating many capabilities if you do that. I wouldn't recommend it. And if anybody says, no, Inbox doesn't do this, this, and that, just skip it, I wouldn't go that far either, because it does have some very useful features like the reminders and like marking things done and things like that. So it's a different way to manage email, and each one has its, like I said, strong points and weak points. And so you just need to learn simply what each program does and then use it to the best of your benefit. So with that, looks like I have one question from Mark Boris, and he says, I've used Gmail for years, and now I use both products side by side on different Chrome tabs. Thank you for showing us the best of both products. Yeah, you're welcome, Mark. I totally agree. I have the same situation on my screen here. If you look at my screen at the top, I got first icon Inbox, second icon Gmail. So definitely the case there. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm not planning to change it anytime soon, unless, of course, there's dramatic differences in what they do or don't do, and that may change in the future. I wish that they did make everything into a single program, so you don't have to mess with two programs, but I think it's a pretty tall order. My kudos to the Inbox team. They did a phenomenal job with coming out that something that potent out of the gate, number one. Number two, being that compatible, quote unquote. I mean, it's the same. You're looking at the same email, so there's no any kind of limitations there. You're looking at the same data and still working with it in such a dramatically different way compared to how you work with email via Gmail. So kudos to the team. Great job. They just need to keep working, and they need to put a few of these other features in place and continue to evolve it. And I think it's would be a killer application from what they started. With that, I don't have any more questions. So if you have any questions, additional questions, feel free to send them my way on Google+. I'll be happy to respond to them. For now, I guess that's it. Have a good day, and until next time.